The desert was silent. Only the sound of the wind moved across the golden sand, whispering like a ghost. Under the twin moons, a lone human man walked slowly, his boots sinking into the dunes. His name was Daniel, and he had been wandering for hours, searching for shelter. The stars above him felt closer than ever, shining bright over the alien world. But Daniel did not feel safe. He felt watched. He stopped. The wind carried something strange, soft whispers that were not his own. His heart began to race. He looked left, then right. The desert looked empty, endless, but deep in the shadows of the dunes, something moved. Daniel's hands shook as he adjusted his pack. "Who's there?" he called out, his voice breaking the silence. No answer came, but the whispers grew louder. They seemed to slip into his ears, into his mind, pulling him forward. He felt his feet move without thinking. Each step was heavier than the last, yet he could not stop. Then he saw them. Glowing eyes in the dark. Two bright orbs watching him from a distance. They were not human eyes. They were too sharp, too strange, glowing with a light of their own. Daniel froze. His breath caught in his throat. From behind the dune, a figure stepped forward. She was tall, graceful, and unlike anything he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered faintly in the moonlight, smooth and flawless with a faint blue glow. Her hair fell like a dark river over her shoulders, and two elegant horns curved from her head like polished stone. Her lips curled into a small smile as she studied him. She was beautiful, more beautiful than any woman Daniel had ever seen. Yet she was not human. She was something else, something dangerous. The whispers stopped. Silence filled the desert again. "You should not be here, human," the figure said, her voice smooth and strange, echoing as if two voices spoke at once. Daniel swallowed hard. Who are you?" The woman's eyes glowed brighter. She stepped closer, her movements silent, almost floating across the sand. "I am one who offers gifts," she whispered. "I am one who listens to desires and answers them. Some call me a succubus, some call me a demon, some call me temptation itself." Daniel's chest tightened. He had heard stories of such beings, spirits that offered power in exchange for the soul. But standing here, face to face, he could not deny her beauty, her power, or the strange pull he felt toward her. She stopped only a few feet away, her gaze never leaving his. "You are alone. You are far from your people. I can give you what you need. I can give you 3 gifts. Ask and I shall grant them." Daniel frowned. "3 gifts? Why me?" Her lips curved into a smile, though her eyes stayed sharp. "Because humans are interesting. You fight when you should run. You hope when you should despair. And you ask for things no other race dares to ask. I wish to see what you will choose." The wind picked up, swirling sand around them. Daniel felt the weight of her words pressing on him. 3 gifts. Anything he wanted. He thought of riches, of power, of survival. But as he looked into her eyes glowing with ancient mystery, another thought struck him. What would happen if he asked for something she did not expect? The succubus tilted her head. "Do not wait too long. Your first request will reveal who you truly are." Daniel's heart pounded. His lips were dry, his throat tight, but he forced the words out. "I don't want riches. I don't want power. My first request is—" He paused. Her eyes narrowed, glowing brighter, waiting. "Tell me your true name." The desert was still. Only the soft sound of wind moved the sand around Daniel and the succubus. The moons glowed above them, casting silver light on her flawless skin. She stood frozen, her glowing eyes fixed on him. His words still echoed in her mind. "Tell me your true name." No human had ever spoken those words to her before. They always asked for gold, for power, for forbidden pleasure. But this man's first request was different. It was simple yet dangerous. Her heart, if she truly had one, began to beat faster. She felt something she had not felt for centuries. Uncertainty. The succubus stepped closer, her eyes narrowing, her voice trembling, though she tried to hide it. "Do you know what you are asking, human?" she said softly. "Names hold power. A true name is not just a word, it is the key to the soul. If I give you mine, you will have a piece of me forever." Daniel stood firm, though his hands shook slightly. "That's what I want," he answered. "Not your gifts, not your power, only the truth of who you are." Her lips parted. She stared at him as if trying to see into his heart. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The desert wind carried only silence. Finally, she looked away. Her voice was softer now, almost like a whisper. "You are either the bravest human I have met, Or the most foolish? Daniel gave a small smile. Maybe both. She turned back to him, and to his surprise, her glowing cheeks darkened with a faint blush. It was subtle but real. The succubus, this beautiful, powerful alien, was embarrassed. "You should not make me feel this way," she said quickly. "I am a creature of shadows. I am temptation itself. I am not meant to blush." Daniel took a step closer. "Maybe you're more than temptation. Maybe that's why I asked." Her eyes widened again. His words cut deeper than he knew. For centuries, she had been treated as a tool, a curse, a dangerous being who could grant gifts but never receive trust. Yet this human looked at her as if she was more than that. The succubus lifted her hand as if she might touch him, then stopped. She pulled back, shaking her head. "You are dangerous," she repeated. "Not because you fight me with weapons, but because you fight me with honesty." Daniel did not answer. He waited. Finally, she let out a slow breath, the sand swirling around her feet as her energy shifted. Her eyes glowed brighter and her voice grew heavy with power. "If I give you my name, you must guard it. You must never speak it to another. Do you swear this, human?" "I swear," Daniel said firmly, her eyes closed. For the first time, she allowed herself to feel vulnerable. The silence stretched heavy and long until finally she whispered, "My name is Lyrian." The sound of it carried through the air like music, soft and beautiful. The desert itself seemed to hold its breath. Daniel repeated it once carefully. Lyrian. She shivered at the sound as though the word itself had touched her soul. A name she had hidden for ages now rested in the hands of a single human. "You truly are dangerous," she whispered again. But her tone was different now. Softer. Warmer. Daniel gave her a small nod. "Thank you, Lyrian." The succubus, no, Lyrian, turned her face away, her long dark hair falling like a curtain. She could not let him see the full color on her cheeks. She had granted countless wishes before, but none had ever left her feeling this exposed. For a long moment, neither spoke. The silence was not empty now. It was heavy with something new, something neither of them could name. At last, Lyrian broke it. "You still have 2 more gifts, Daniel. But if your first request has shaken me like this, I fear what the others may bring." Daniel's eyes softened. "Then maybe it's not gifts I'm after. Maybe it's understanding." She looked at him sharply. "Careful, human. If you continue on this path, you may uncover truths you cannot control." But even as she spoke, her voice betrayed her. She wanted him to ask. She wanted him to see her, truly see her, in a way no one else ever had. The desert wind howled again, as if warning them both. Far in the distance, the dunes shifted, glowing faintly with strange light. Lyrian's eyes flicked toward it, and for the first time, fear touched her perfect face. "This world holds secrets," she whispered. "Secrets even I cannot control. If you continue, Daniel, your second request may awaken something far worse than me." Daniel followed her gaze, the glowing dunes sending a chill down his spine. He felt the weight of her words. But deep inside, he also felt something stronger. Curiosity. He had asked for her name, and she had given it. He had broken the walls she carried for centuries, and now he wanted to know more. The desert was no longer silent. Something was stirring beneath the sand, and both of them knew the story was only beginning. For the first time, the succubus's calm face cracked. Her eyes widened, her glowing cheeks flushed faintly with color. She stepped back as if struck by the weight of his words. You would ask that?" She whispered, her voice unsteady. "Of all the things a man could demand. You want my name?" Daniel nodded. "Yes, because I want to see you as you really are. Not as some demon, not as temptation, but as you." The succubus's lips trembled. No one had ever asked her this. No one had cared who she was. They only demanded power or pleasure or wealth. But this human was different. Her glowing eyes softened. For the first time in centuries, she blushed. The desert wind howled as if the world itself had felt the change. "You are dangerous, human," she whispered, her voice almost breaking. "Dangerous to me." And with that, the night grew even more silent, the air thick with tension. The first request had been made, and nothing would ever be the same again. The desert was quiet again, but Lyrian's heart was not. The human's voice still echoed in her mind. "Thank you, Lyrian." That single word, her true name, had broken centuries of silence. For countless years, she had given gifts to men who came before. They begged for gold, for kingdoms, for forbidden pleasures. She gave them what they wanted, but their greed always destroyed them in the end. She was never surprised. She was never moved until now. This human had asked for something no one else ever dared. He had asked for her. Not her power, not her body, not her magic. He wanted her truth, and that truth frightened her more than any weapon. Daniel walked beside her as the wind pushed across the dunes. The moons shone brightly overhead, but the shadows seemed thicker than before. He could feel her silence pressing down on him, heavier than the desert air. At last he spoke. "You're angry with me." Lyrian's glowing eyes flicked toward him. "I am not angry," she said quickly. "I am unsettled." Daniel raised a brow. "Because I asked your name?" She looked away, her dark hair shifting in the wind. "Yes, no, I do not know." Her voice trembled. "Do you understand, human? No one has asked me that in centuries. No one cared who I was. They only cared for the gifts. You are different. Too different." Daniel gave a small smile. "Maybe that's what makes us human." Her lips tightened. "Or maybe that is what makes you dangerous." They walked in silence for some time, but the desert was not still. Strange patterns glowed faintly under the sand, like rivers of fire hidden beneath the surface. Lyrian noticed them first. Her eyes narrowed. "This world is alive," she whispered. "It listens. It remembers." Daniel frowned. "Alive? You mean the sand?" "Not the sand," she said softly. "The heart beneath it. The ruins of a power greater than me, greater than anything you have ever known." He followed her gaze, feeling a cold shiver slide down his spine. "And you're afraid of it." For the first time, she did not hide her fear. Her voice was low, almost human in its weakness. "Yes, I fear it." Inside her mind, doubts clawed at her. Why had she revealed so much to him? Why did she let him see her fear, her blush, her name? She was supposed to be a shadow, a temptress, a mystery. Yet with this human, her walls crumbled too easily. "What is wrong with me?" she thought. "Why do I care for his opinion?" She turned toward him, her glowing eyes softening against her will. "Daniel," she whispered, "you must be careful with your next request." The first shook me. The second, it may break me. Daniel stopped walking. "Break you? How?" Her lips trembled. "Because I fear." "You will not ask for power or treasure. You will ask for something I cannot give, something that will change me." Daniel looked at her for a long moment, then simply said, "Maybe that's not a bad thing." Lyrian's heart raced. She had never heard such words from a human before. They usually sought to use her, not change her. The desert wind howled again, carrying with it strange whispers. Daniel shivered. "You hear that?" Lyrian's face darkened. "Yes, the ruins are stirring." Suddenly the sand shifted beneath their feet. A deep rumble shook the ground. Strange symbols began to glow across the dunes, forming a path that stretched toward the horizon. Daniel's eyes widened. "What is that?" "The way to the gifts," Lyrian answered, her voice heavy. "But it is also the way to danger. These sands are protected. If we go forward, there is no turning back." Daniel clenched his fists. "Then we go forward," she turned to him sharply. "You are too eager, and you're too afraid," he countered. "Maybe that's why we need each other." Her breath caught. His words pierced through her doubts, but they also made her tremble with something she did not understand. As they followed the glowing path, Lyrian's thoughts twisted in endless circles. Why am I letting him lead? Why do I not bind him as I bound the others? Why do I not silence him? The answer was clear, yet she did not want to face it. She did not want to admit that she trusted him, that his honesty had touched a place inside her that she thought long dead. Every step they took toward the ruins filled her with dread, not of the danger ahead, but of what this human was doing to her heart. They reached the base of a great dune. At its peak stood the broken remains of a stone temple, half buried by the sand. Strange symbols glowed faintly on its walls, humming with energy. Daniel stared in awe. "It looks ancient." "It is older than your world," Lyrian said quietly. "And it holds the second gift." Daniel turned to her. "And you?" Her glowing eyes met his. "I hold doubt. For the first time in my life, I do not know if I want you to ask again." The desert wind swirled around them, carrying both fear and promise. Daniel stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Then maybe it's not the gifts that matter. Maybe it's what happens between us." Her heart shook. She turned her face away, her blush returning. And in that moment, Lyrian knew the truth. She feared not the gifts, not the ruins, not the dangers ahead. She feared the human who had asked for her name, and the power he now held over her heart. The temple stood like a broken tooth rising from the desert sand. Its walls were cracked and half buried, yet faint blue symbols glowed across the stone as if alive. The air around it was heavy, buzzing with strange energy. Daniel stopped at the base of the dune, staring up at the ruins. His heart pounded. He had never seen anything like this. It was ancient but not dead. Something inside was awake. Beside him, Lyrian's glowing eyes narrowed. She spoke in a low, uneasy voice. "This place is dangerous, Daniel. It was built by the first ones, creatures older than me, older than your world. Their power lies beneath, and it does not welcome strangers." Daniel gave her a quick glance. "And this is where the second gift is hidden?" She hesitated. "Yes, but gifts like these always come with a price." The desert wind howled through the broken stones, carrying a hollow echo, as if voices whispered inside. Daniel clenched his fists. He felt fear in his chest, but also curiosity. "Then we find it," he said firmly. Lyrian's lips parted. She wanted to stop him, to warn him again, but she could not. Something inside her longed to see how far he would go. Perhaps deep down she wanted to go with him. They stepped into the temple. The air changed immediately. It was colder, thick with dust and strange energy that prickled against the skin. The walls glowed faintly, symbols shifting like liquid light. The ceiling was cracked open to the night sky, yet the shadows inside seemed darker than outside. Daniel ran his hand along the stone. "Feels alive," he whispered. "It is," Lyrian said softly. "These walls remember. Every soul who enters leaves a mark. Be careful not to leave more than you intend." Daniel gave her a half-smile. "You make it sound like the walls are watching me." "They are," she replied simply. They walked deeper into the ruins. The hallway stretched long and narrow, the floor covered in sand. As they moved forward, the symbols on the walls brightened, pulsing as if in response to their steps. Daniel frowned. "Why do they glow when we pass?" "They are testing you," Lyrian whispered. "The temple wants to know if you are worthy." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "And if I'm not?" Her voice dropped. "Then it will kill you." Silence followed. Daniel swallowed hard, but he did not stop walking. His boots crunched softly in the sand, echoing in the empty hall. At the end of the corridor, they reached a wide chamber. The ceiling was high and curved, filled with cracks that dripped faint starlight. In the center stood a tall pedestal carved from black stone, with a glowing crystal floating above it. Daniel's breath caught. That must be it. Lyrian's eyes darkened. The second gift. The crystal pulsed with light, soft at first, then sharper, brighter, as if it sensed their presence. Strange whispers filled the chamber, swirling around them. Daniel stepped forward, but Lyrian grabbed his arm. Her grip was strong, her glowing eyes fierce. "Do not touch it so easily. The crystal is alive. It knows your heart. If it finds you unworthy, it will not give, it will take." Daniel looked into her eyes. "And you think I'm unworthy?" Her lips trembled. She wanted to say no. She wanted to believe in him. But her doubt whispered louder. "I do not know," she admitted. Daniel slowly pulled free of her grip and walked toward the pedestal. Each step made the whispers louder, pressing against his ears, his mind. His vision blurred for a moment, flashing with strange images, wars, alien skies, endless darkness. He shook his head, pushing forward. The crystal pulsed harder, almost like a heartbeat. Lyrian's voice broke the silence. "Daniel, stop! If you take it, you may lose yourself." Daniel turned back slightly. "And if I don't, then all of this means nothing." Her heart twisted. She had seen countless men fall here, swallowed by greed, madness, or hunger for power. But Daniel was different. She wanted to believe he could survive. Yet fear held her still. Daniel reached the pedestal. The crystal's glow reflected in his eyes. For a moment he hesitated. His hand hovered in the air, then he spoke softly. "I don't want power. I don't want destruction. If this gift is real, I want it to help me protect her." The words shocked Lyrian. Her chest tightened. No one had ever asked for that before. Not riches. Not pleasure. Not even survival. He asked only for her safety. The crystal pulsed wildly, then dimmed, glowing softer, calmer. Slowly it drifted downward, lowering itself into Daniel's open hand. The whispers faded. The chamber grew silent again. Daniel held the crystal carefully, its light flowing into him like warmth. His knees shook, but he remained standing. He turned back to Lyrian and gave a tired smile. "Looks like it accepted me." Lyrian's lips parted, but no words came. Her glowing cheeks flushed again. She stepped forward slowly, her eyes wide, her voice breaking. Why would you ask for that? Daniel looked at her with calm eyes. Because you matter. More than the gifts. More than this temple. I want to keep you safe, Lyrian. Her heart raced. For centuries she had been feared, desired, or used. Never protected. Never valued. And now a single human had asked for nothing for himself, only for her. She trembled. You are dangerous, Daniel, she whispered again, but this time her voice was weak, full of something new. The ground rumbled suddenly. Cracks split across the floor. The temple groaned as if it had awakened. Lyrian's eyes widened in fear. No, you asked for protection, but in doing so you woke it. Daniel gripped the crystal tighter. Woke what? The chamber shook violently. From the cracks in the floor, dark light poured upward and a deep ancient voice echoed through the ruins. Human, Succubus, you dare disturb my sleep? Daniel's heart pounded. Lyrian's fear was clear now, her glow trembling in the shadows. The second gift had been granted, but it had also awakened something far worse. The temple shook as if the desert itself was alive. Dust fell from the cracked ceiling. Strange blue symbols burned brighter on the walls and the ground split open, glowing with dark fire. Daniel clutched the crystal tighter, his knuckles white. Beside him, Lyrian's glowing eyes widened in fear. Her voice broke into a whisper. No, it has awakened. From the cracks rose a shadow, tall and formless, yet heavy with power. It had no face, only burning eyes that glared like stars swallowed in darkness. Its voice shook the chamber. Who dares disturb the heart of the first ones? Daniel staggered back, but Lyrian grabbed his arm. Her hand was cold, trembling. It is the Guardian, she whispered. It was placed here to protect the gifts. It will not let us leave alive. The shadow grew larger, stretching toward the ceiling. The air grew heavy, pressing on Daniel's chest, stealing his breath. He could barely speak. Then, how do we fight it? You cannot fight it, Lyrian said sharply. No human can. It is too strong. Daniel clenched his jaw. Then how do you fight it? Her eyes softened, filled with fear. I cannot. I was bound by the first ones. Even my power bends to their guardians. The shadow's voice boomed again. Succubus, you broke your oath. You brought the human to this place. You shall pay. Lyrian's face paled. She stepped in front of Daniel, her wings of shadow forming behind her. Her voice shook but stayed firm. He asked for protection. I must honor it. The Guardian laughed, a deep sound like mountains cracking. Protection? You think a vow will save him? Then you both will fall, the Guardian struck. A wave of dark fire shot across the chamber, slamming into the walls. Stone shattered. The floor split wider. Daniel stumbled, but Lyrian caught him, pulling him close. Her body glowed brighter, forming a shield of light around them. The energy hit her shield and cracked it. She cried out, her knees shaking. Daniel held her shoulders. Lyrian, you'll burn yourself out! Her voice trembled. I don't care. You asked for protection, and I will give it. Daniel's heart twisted. She was hurting herself for him. He couldn't let her. The crystal in his hand pulsed, glowing brighter. A warmth spread through his body, filling his veins like fire and light. His vision cleared, his fear lessened. The whispers of the crystal returned, but softer now. Use me. Not for greed. Not for power. Use me to protect. Daniel raised the crystal high. Light burst from it, striking the Guardian's shadowy form. The chamber shook with the sound of 1,000 screams. The Guardian roared in anger. Impossible! A human cannot wield the gift. But Daniel stood firm. I'm not using it for myself. I'm using it for her. The crystal's light cut deeper into the shadow. The Guardian's form cracked, pieces of darkness breaking away. Lyrian stared at him, her glowing eyes wide, tears shimmering faintly. You're using the gift for me? Daniel nodded, his teeth clenched against the strain. I promised, the Guardian bellowed, thrashing against the light. The chamber wall shook, threatening to collapse. Daniel's knees buckled, but he held on, pouring every ounce of his will into the crystal. Finally, with a blinding flash, the shadow cracked apart. Its voice faded into a hollow scream before dissolving into mist. Silence followed. The ground stopped shaking. The glowing symbols dimmed to faint embers. Daniel fell to his knees, gasping, the crystal still glowing faintly in his hand. Sweat dripped down his face and his body trembled with exhaustion. Lyrian rushed to him, kneeling at his side. Her hands cupped his face, glowing with gentle light. "You fool," she whispered, her voice breaking. "You could have died." Daniel managed a weak smile. "But I didn't because I wasn't alone." Her lips trembled. For a moment she could not speak. Then she pulled him closer, pressing her forehead to his. "Why?" she whispered. "Why would a human risk everything and for me?" Daniel's voice was soft but steady. "Because you're worth it." Her glowing cheeks flushed deep, her heart racing faster than she thought possible. No one had ever said those words to her. No one had ever made her feel this human. The crystal pulsed once more and then dimmed, its light fading until it was only a dull stone. Daniel stared at it in his palm. "It's gone." "No," Lyrian said softly. "It is not gone. It has fulfilled its purpose." "That was the second gift," Daniel frowned. "And the purpose was?" She looked into his eyes, her own glowing faintly with emotion. "To show me something I never believed. That a human would give instead of take. That a human would protect instead of demand. You asked not for power, but for me." Daniel shrugged weakly. Seemed like the right choice. Her lips curved into the faintest smile, though tears touched her eyes. "You are not like the others, Daniel. You are different, and that terrifies me." A deep rumble shook the chamber once more, though softer now. Lyrian's smile vanished. She stood quickly, pulling Daniel to his feet. His body was weak, but her strength steadied him. "What now?" he asked. She looked toward the dark cracks in the floor. "The Guardian may be gone, but the temple has awakened. Others will come. They will feel this power. They will hunt us." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Then let them come." Her eyes softened again. "You truly are dangerous, human." And as the desert wind howled through the broken temple walls, Lyrian realized something deeper. The second gift had not only been granted, it had changed her forever. The night over the desert had changed. The air no longer felt empty. It was heavy, filled with unseen eyes. The moons glowed cold and pale, and the broken temple behind them still whispered with the fading voice of the Guardian. Daniel leaned against Lyrian as they walked away from the ruins. His body was weak from holding the crystal's power, but his spirit burned stronger than ever. The stone in his hand was now dull, no longer glowing, but he could still feel its warmth. Lyrian's eyes scanned the dark sky nervously. Her voice was sharp, tense. "They will come," Daniel frowned. "Who?" Her glowing eyes narrowed. "The ones who bound me. The ones who created the Guardians. They will feel what happened here. They will know I broke my oath." Daniel stopped. "You mean they'll come for you?" Her voice was quiet, heavy with guilt. "Yes, and for you too. Because I chose you instead of them." They did not have to wait long. The stars above them shimmered unnaturally. One by one, streaks of light fell across the sky. Not like shooting stars, but like fire descending with purpose. They struck the sand around the ruins, exploding in waves of light. Figures emerged from the glow. Tall, graceful, and terrifying, their forms were cloaked in armor made of living metal, their eyes like frozen stars. They carried weapons that pulsed with strange energy, humming in the night. Daniel's breath caught. "Who are they?" Lyrian's face darkened. "My kind, the higher ones. The enforcers of the oath. They are here to punish me." The lead figure stepped forward, his voice booming like thunder. "Lyrian, succubus of the old pact, you have betrayed your vow. You have chosen the human. For this crime there is only one end." Lyrian's hands shook. Her shadow wings spread wide, but her voice trembled. "I have not betrayed. I have only obeyed his request. He asked for my name. He asked for my protection. I granted the gifts as I was bound to do." The enforcer's eyes blazed cold. "You gave more. You gave your heart. That was never part of the oath." Daniel's chest tightened. He looked at Lyrian, saw the fear in her glowing eyes. For the first time he understood. Her people were not only her masters, they were her jailers. The enforcers raised their weapons. Energy flared, sharp and deadly. Lyrian pushed Daniel behind her, her voice sharp. "Stay back." Daniel's fists clenched. "I won't hide while they hurt you." Her voice broke. "Daniel, you don't understand. You cannot fight them. They are stronger than me. Stronger than anything." He stepped forward anyway, his eyes hard. "Then let them see why humans are different." The enforcers attacked. Blades of light slashed through the air, striking the sand, leaving burning scars. Lyrian blocked the first strike with her shadow wings, but the impact forced her to her knees. She cried out in pain. Daniel rushed forward, grabbing her arm, pulling her up. "Get up, Lyrian." We can't give in. Her eyes burned with despair. Why do you keep fighting for me? I am not worth your life. Daniel looked at her with fierce determination. Yes, you are. Because you're more than what they made you. You're not just their servant. You're not just a succubus. You're Lyrian, and you're mine. Her heart stopped for a moment. No one had ever said her name like that. Like it was sacred. The enforcers surrounded them, voices like thunder. Enough, step aside, human, or die with her. Daniel raised the dull crystal in his hand. It no longer glowed, but he held it firm. I already chose. I'll die with her before I let you take her. A silence fell over the desert. The enforcers paused, as if the words shocked even them. Lyrian trembled, her cheeks glowing faintly pink. She whispered, Daniel. Her voice was almost human now, filled with emotion. For the first time in her long life, she realized she was not alone. She had someone who would stand against the stars themselves for her. The lead enforcer raised his weapon again. But before the strike fell, Lyrian stepped forward. She spread her wings wide, her body glowing brighter than ever. Her voice rang out strong and defiant. I choose the human, she cried. For centuries I served your oath. For centuries I gave gifts to those unworthy, but now I see the truth. Humanity is different. This man is different, and I will not betray him. Her glow burst across the dunes, shaking the sand. The enforcers staggered, their weapons dimming under the force of her cry. Daniel stepped beside her, his hand gripping hers tightly. For the first time, Lyrian did not pull away. The desert wind roared around them, carrying the heat of rebellion. The lead enforcer's eyes flared cold. Then you are lost to us, Lyrian. Both of you will face the final gift, death. Lyrian's wings spread wider, her face glowing with fierce determination. She looked at Daniel, her voice steady. Then we face it together. Daniel squeezed her hand, his eyes burning with courage. Together. The enforcers raised their weapons once more, and the desert trembled with the promise of battle. But as the light of their blades filled the night, something deeper stirred within Lyrian. She realized the truth. The final gift was close, and when it came, it would change everything. Forever. The desert burned with light. The enforcers circled Daniel and Lyrian, their weapons glowing like blades carved from stars. The air was sharp, filled with tension, as if the universe itself held its breath. Daniel's grip tightened around Lyrian's hand. His body was weak, but his heart was strong. He looked at her and saw the fear in her glowing eyes. Yet behind that fear there was something new, hope. Lyrian spread her wings wide, shadows stretching like storm clouds. If this is the end, she whispered, then I face it with you. Daniel gave her a small, tired smile. Then it won't be the end. Not if we stand together. The lead enforcer stepped forward, his voice echoing like thunder. Succubus Lyrian, you broke the oath. You gave your heart to a human. For this you must die. The final gift will be death itself. But Lyrian lifted her chin, her voice sharp and defiant. No, the final gift will not be death. It will be choice. And I choose him. Her words rang out across the dunes, carried by the desert wind. For the first time, Daniel saw the enforcers hesitate. Their weapons trembled, their eyes narrowing with doubt. The dull crystal in Daniel's hand pulsed suddenly, glowing faintly again. Warmth spread through his chest. He lifted it high, and a voice filled his mind. 3 gifts. The first was truth. The second was protection. And the third is love. The crystal burst with light. Daniel gasped as the glow wrapped around him and Lyrian, binding them together in a radiant shield. The enforcers attacked, their blades slashing into the light, but the shield did not break. Instead, the light pushed back, stronger with every strike. Lyrian's eyes widened. Daniel, it is the final gift. Daniel looked at her, his voice steady. Not just mine, ours. The enforcers staggered as the light grew brighter, forcing them back. The lead one roared. Impossible! A human cannot wield the final gift. But Lyrian stood tall beside Daniel, her voice strong. He can, because he did not ask for power. He asked for me. And that is why humanity is different. The shield flared, exploding outward in a wave of pure light. The enforcers were thrown across the dunes, their weapons shattered. They lay in the sand, dazed, their glow fading. The lead enforcer tried to rise, but his voice was weak. You have bound yourself to the human. You can never return to us. You are no longer one of us, Lyrian. Lyrian's wings folded close. She looked at Daniel, then back at her kin. Her lips curved into a faint, bittersweet smile. I do not want to return. I have found something greater than your oath. I have found him. Daniel's heart pounded as he met her gaze. For a moment the battle, the danger, the fear, all of it faded. Only she remained. The enforcers vanished into the night, retreating like shadows swallowed by the stars. The desert fell silent once more. The glowing ruins dimmed, returning to their slumber. Daniel dropped to his knees, exhausted. The crystal in his hand shattered into dust, its light gone forever. Lyrian knelt beside him, her hands glowing softly as she touched his face. You kept your promise, she whispered. You protected me, even when it meant facing death. Daniel gave a weak laugh. Guess I'm stubborn. Her cheeks flushed, her voice trembling. No, you are human, and that is why you are dangerous, and why you are beautiful. For the first time, Lyrian allowed herself to feel. She pressed her forehead gently against his, her blush bright beneath the glow of her eyes. I have given many gifts, she whispered, but none like this. The final gift is not mine to give. It is ours to share. Daniel's breath caught. He understood. The final gift was not magic, not power, not even survival. It was love. A bond between alien and human, fragile yet stronger than any oath. The desert wind blew softly, no longer heavy with fear. The moon shone bright above them, casting silver light on the two figures holding each other in the endless sands. Daniel smiled faintly. So what happens now? Lyrian looked toward the stars, her eyes glowing with quiet strength. Now, we build something new, not bound by their rules, not bound by their fear. Just us, he chuckled weakly. Us, I like that. She leaned closer, her lips trembling with emotion. Then let that be the true ending of the gifts. Not 3. Not even 1,000. Just us. The night was silent again, but it was no longer empty. It carried their laughter, their promise, and the beginning of something no power in the galaxy could take away. And so in the desert of a forgotten world, a succubus and a human walked forward, not as master and servant, not as alien and man, but as equals bound by something greater than gifts. The final gift had been given, and it would last forever.